Alright, people, what's up? I'm back. I had to wash this face, get the oil and dirt and mud off my face. Hate spring because I get them allergies. But anyway, that's not why I make this video. Today I'm going to talk about my first impression of Avengers Infinity War movie. Now, I've been watching a lot of movie reviews, and a lot of people have had to make their own assumptions of what they think the movie was. Now, how should I put this? Remember when David Glover was writing and producing and directing the 3 Blade films, that somebody asked him how come in Hollywood sequels don't do as good or don't perform as well as the first film, the original? And he said that a lot of times when you make the first film, sometimes the first film stands out best, and that's what you remember about the first film. The second film and the third film, the stakes are so high that they have what they call unrealistic expectations. Remember Star Wars, people? Remember the first Star Wars film, Star Wars A New Hope, was real good, right? It was great. Empire Strikes Back was better than the first one. And then we got to Star Wars Return of the Jedi, and the film was good. You loved Return of the Jedi. Something about Return of the Jedi got you thinking, finally, the mystery's been solved. We see the villain sitting there on his throne giving all these orders, and we've been wanting to see, is he just going to talk, or is he going to show why he's the most powerful badass of all times? I'm talking about Darth Sidious. Well, this reminds me of the Star Wars trilogy. Now you might say, how you compare the Avenger and Marvel films to Star Wars? Well, because for 10 years you've been sitting back waiting, saying, when we gonna finally see Tarnos get off his throne and kick some ass? And they wanted to build this movie up to that climax. Now, I saw the movie last night. I saw the movie at 8:30 at nighttime. I wanted to see a full capacity crowd. Yeah, I wanted to see a full capacity crowd. And I wanted to see the energy. I wanted to feel the energy that I felt in this movie. Now, before I even tell you where do I rank this movie from a scale from 1 to 10, let me just say that for me, the action was great. I loved the action. The movie opened, hold on, spoiler alert, hold on, spoiler alert, let me say it again, spoiler alert, one more time, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. I know y'all like, damn, Alex, why you keep saying spoiler alert? Because sometimes when I say spoiler alert, people may not hear the word spoiler alert, and I have to keep saying it because someone gonna come on this channel and go, you're telling the whole movie, spoiler alert. One more again, spoiler alert. Okay, that's enough. Now, this movie opens in outer space. Now, if you saw Thor Ragnarok last year, you saw the end credit where they were in outer space and the spaceship opened, and you saw Loki and Thor's reaction when they saw Tarnos. And when we get to this film, it picks up where Thor Ragnarok left off. Now, Thor's hurt, he's injured, he doesn't have his hammer anymore because his evil sister destroyed his hammer, and Asgard's been destroyed. Odin's dead, and these two are forced to fight a horror that they've heard stories about from their father Odin, but can't do anything about. We see Thor laid out on the floor. And when you see Thor on the floor, you want to say, Thor, get your ass up. Like, you just had the best fight against your sister and Thor Ragnarok, and here you on the floor getting your ass whooped. Like Thor, get your ass up. You see the black guy played by Hollywood actor Eldridge Alba. You see him on the floor injured. I don't know what happened to Valkyrie. I presume that she was probably killed because there were talks that she was gonna come back in this movie, and we didn't see her. So I'm presuming that Valkyrie's probably dead. You know, she's probably dead and gone. Like, damn, that's cold. You see this black girl in Thor Ragnarok, and you get to this movie, she dead. They like, damn. Like, they're not playing with this movie. And then Loki gets killed. Now, I think when Loki got killed, I think that's where we all felt the emotion. Like, we spent like 10 years growing with this character. Like, the actor Thomas Hiddleston played Loki, right? We grew with Loki. Like, we actually grew. He grew on us. You know, to see him in Thor, and then to see him in the first Avenger film, and then to see him in Thor Dark World, even though some people think that movie was kind of, you know, not so very good. And then to get to the third film, and then to see him in this film, and then to just see him get killed in front of your very eye. It was like somebody taking your innocence from you and saying, you'll never be the same again after I take your innocence. That's what it felt like when they killed Loki. And you felt the emotion. And then to see Thor floating in space is like, oh shit, damn. Like, goddamn again, Thor, you like, you get thrown away. You got thrown away in Thor Dark World, and now here you are floating in space. We see Hulk, or should I say Bruce Banner, get beamed to Earth. Now, the fight between the Incredible Hulk and Thanos was badass. I mean, he was hitting him with punches, and this was the first time anyone seen the Hulk get his ass whooped. Like, normally the Hulk whoops everybody's ass, but this was the first time Hulk got his ass whooped. Like, Hulk was trying his hardest, and he could not figure out none of the punch combinations that he was getting hit with. And it was amazing to see that when he got landed back on Earth, the first thing he did was go look for Tony Stark, Iron Man. You know, we see, you know, Tony and Pepper Potts talking about how she wanted him to retire as Iron Man, and he still can't let go of that. You know, so they still bring us back to the far cry of Iron Man 3 in the second Avenger film, of him refusing to let go of the fact that he still wants to be Iron Man. So it was good to see that they still had that relationship and that connection. Then we see Doctor Strange having to notice things in the sky missing, things not what they seem, and having to show up and confront Tony. And they have this great moment on camera, you know, Robert Downey Jr. and Benedict. You know, they have this great moment on camera where these two look face to face, and it's like, finally, someone who's not gonna take Tony Stark's shit. You're like, yeah, it's about time somebody don't take your shit. Like, the last time you saw someone not take his shit was in Captain America Civil War. And they kind of hint back to that when Bruce goes, so we need to get the Avengers, and, you know, Tony goes, yeah, about that, you know, we broke up. And he goes, like the Beatles, like a rock band. And you can see the look on Doctor Strange's face, like, we don't have time for this ridiculous argument between you two. We're in a situation where the end of the world's coming here. When are you guys gonna, you know, get it together? And to have them in the city getting ready to fight was amazing. You know, I thought when Strange showcased his powers, they betrayed him real strong. I thought this was the best portrayal of Doctor Strange. Like, they reminded us that if you thought Doctor Strange the movie was good, this will make you want to go back and watch Doctor Strange again, because they betrayed him so strong in this film. And to have Spider-Man show up like he did, you know, they took us back to Spider-Man Homecoming. So you could tell that when we see him on the bus and his friend makes a diversion, you can tell that it's like just right after Spider-Man Homecoming. So you know Spider-Man's coming to hang around and help out a bit. So that was nice to tie him into that. And the fact that Bruce couldn't turn into the Hulk, it made me start to really use my brain and make me think, what could they possibly be doing this for? could they be going for the storyline of Professor Hulk, where okay, he's gonna turn back into the Hulk at some point in the movie? That's what you always feel like, right? You always felt that in the first film and the second Avenger film that somehow, some way he would overcome whatever was preventing him from transforming. But in this movie, he can't seem to get the Hulk to come out. So he's forced to use Tony Stark's Iron Man armor to fight later in the movie, which I thought was fantastic because it showed finally when is Bruce Banner gonna, stand up for himself. So we got to see the humanity of Bruce Banner and not so much the Hulk. Now I know people who love the Hulk is going like, hey, I didn't see much Hulk in this movie. And like I said again, I'm wondering what they're possibly saving him for, a different version or a different transformation that will yet to take place. We get to back in space where we see the Guardians coming. We see Chris Pratt play as Star-Lord, aka Peter Quill. We see Gamora. We see Drax the Destroyer. We see Mantis, Rocket Raccoon, and Groot, baby Groot. Now more like teenage Groot. And Thor slams right into their shield. And it was a great moment in space to have Thor come face to face with a group he's never heard of before, and to find out that Gamora is the daughter of Thanos, and they have a little moment where he wants to do something, but he comes to his senses. And then the fact that he goes with Rocket Raccoon, voiced by Bradley Cooper, I thought that was the best part of the film. Let's add a different layer to Thor. Let's take Thor away from the Avengers, and let's see how he fares with a new group that's completely different. I thought that was a good critical moment for Chris Hemsworth. Let's see what he can do with some real acting and not just, I'm gonna kick your ass all the time. So I thought that was good for him as an actor. Take him to a different direction he hasn't been before. And finally, when we get to where Tony and Spider-Man and Doctor Strange find themselves going from fighting into the city to being in space on a spaceship, because they wanted the Infinity Gauntlet, they wanted that, and surprise, surprise, Spider-Man managed to come along for the ride, and I thought that was a poetic scene. Like, I thought that was beautiful, just creating beautiful magic between Doctor Strange and Iron Man was perfect. It was like if you can go back to Captain America Civil War, and if you could have Doctor Strange in the movie, it would probably be something just like this. It would be another person standing up to Tony and saying, I'm not taking your shit. I'm not like everybody else that you talk shit to. Which I love that about Doctor Strange. He wasn't taking nobody's shit. And I felt that Doctor Strange was the heart of the movie. He thought logic, he used math and science, he tried to reason and talk about the outcome of what might actually happen. I thought that was just brilliant for them to put that in the film. The muscle, we all know, ended up being Thor. And of course we had Star-Lord, which I thought was kind of like the comedic relief. Like, he brought comedy to the movie. And the fact that he lost control the minute Thanos finally killed the Collector, and then they discovered they lured him into a trap. They had him beat. Like, this was the first group that had him stopped, and he couldn't control his emotion, and then finally he breaks free, and he makes his way to wherever the hell Thor was going to go to, and he kills everyone and gets what he needs, and then Thor gets the weapon after struggling to keep the thing open, and he gets his axe, and that's how he was able to get his power back, which I thought, okay, they showcased to us that he's still Thor from the first film, because a lot of people had this assumption that Thor was gonna die in the movie, and there were moments where in the beginning of the movie that, yeah, he's gonna die, until they reveal, well, not actually. He's just gonna be floating in space, and then he's gonna get picked up someplace else. He gets his eye back, which I thought was a nice take on them saying, let's answer that question. Does he get his eye back? And he got his eye back. He got his powers back. Now, the action picked up when they got to, Westconda. When they got to there, that's where the action picked up. I mean, when you see them go to Scotland, there's Vision, there's Wanda, they're in love. They had to put some love in this movie. No action-packed film can be complete without love. You gotta have action, you gotta have comedy, you gotta have logic and math and science, and you had to add some love in this film. So you added love into the movie. And the fact that the fighting scenes were so well done, they show that, okay, I gotta fight to save him because they're gonna kill Vision. And it was predestined he was gonna die. And the fact that when he finally makes his way to getting the Infinity Gauntlet. Now, for Nebula, I was surprised that they had her in this movie. Like, somewhere in the movie, you kind of got the feeling that, where's Nebula? Where's the sister that hates her father? And come to find out, at the end of Guardians 2, she got captured, which I thought was a nice tie-in for her character. And then she escaped to inform the group what happened. And then the fact that he killed her before they fought. And I thought it was beautiful that they shoehorned Red Skull. A lot of people kept saying, where the hell's Red Skull? And they give us Red Skull. And he served a purpose in this movie. You go back to the first film, Captain America, First Avenger, and you're saying to yourself, when are we going to see Red Skull again? We know he's not dead, and there's answer to the question, he never was dead to begin with. His job was to explain the mystery of the Infinity Gauntlet and how to harness its true power. So I thought it was good that he kind of came to explain to Tarnos, if you're going to do what it is that you're going to do, you got to understand its potential and its power. So I thought that was good for them to bring him in. Instead of bringing in Death, they made Red Skull Death. So I thought that was good. Finally, we get to the fight of Wakanda, and it was nice to see Vision, Wanda, White Wolf, or you can say Winter Soldier. We see, the characters from Black Panther. We see Black Panther with Steve Rogers, Falcon, War Machine. We see Bruce Banner. They're all there and they're ready to fight. Like, they're gonna bring it. This is where I felt that the action picked up. And it was good to see them have Steve Rogers and Black Panther lead off first. Like, this weren't gonna be all just one guy fighting all of the people. They let the two go at it. And then the fact that finally, when we get to where they fight again a second time, that beautiful standoff between Iron Man and Thanos was beautiful. It was like those action figures when you was a little kid, and you could just imagine if you just put this on screen, it would just look beautiful. The way that Tony Stark was just taking the fight to Thanos, and Thanos was taking it back to him, and then he finally gave him that thrust to the chest. People was getting ready to jump out of their seat and go, no. And he bled and was like, oh shit, Iron Man gonna finally die. Everyone was talking about it, and nope, they threw us another misdirection. He lived, and Doctor Strange gave up the Infinity Gauntlet. He teleports, he gets to Earth, and we finally get to that climactic scene where we see Steve Rogers hold back his hand, and he looks into Steve's eyes, and he kind of has that look like, yeah, I've been waiting for someone to give me a fight finally. And out of nowhere, he knocks the hell out of Steve Rogers with a punch. And, he see Falcon, he pushed him to the side like he ain't nothing. White Wolf, he moved him like he ain't nothing. And we see everyone trying to take down Thanos, and they can't. Finally, we see Vision dying because Wanda feels like if I kill him, then he won't get the last Infinity Stone. And he just sits there and waits for her to do it. And then he reverses time, brings Vision back, and kills them a second time and gets all of them and becomes completely unstoppable. And then finally, Thor comes out of nowhere and gets him in the chest. And that's where we get to where the anger and the outrage comes from the fans. You know, all of a sudden, Black Panther's dead. You know, after Thor goes, "What did you done to the Infinity Gauntlet?" we see Thanos disappear, teleport, go someplace else. And we see he's hurt, he's wounded, we see he's emotionally distressed, we see he's a broken person. Like, this is the first time you see a villain actually win a fight. But then, even though people say Thanos won, he actually lost if you think about it. Because all throughout the whole movie of him getting the Infinity Gauntlet, look how much trouble he had to go through to get it. He had to fight the Guardians. He had to fight Team Strange and Iron Man and Spider-Man. He had to go to Earth to get the last Infinity Gauntlet Stone. And then you have Thor get you in the chest. And then only to have the Infinity Gauntlet be damaged. And it broke time. Just so you know, it broke time to the point where time didn't exist. And we see Spider-Man die, you know, Peter Parker, Doctor Strange, the whole entire Guardians crew die. We see Black Panther's gone. And we see Winter Soldier die. And we see Steve Rogers walk up to Thor and go, "What the hell just happened? Like what happened? Like, how could this just, how could you let Thanos get away like that? You got the axe, you could have killed him with, like, what happened?" You know, you see Steve Rogers upset with Thor, and Thor not really having an answer for the explanation was kind of like, that's what you expected in the movie. And then the fact that you see Tony Stark standing there, you know, standing there with Nebula trying to figure out, how do I begin to even pick up these pieces that are before me? And it leaves you with, and people are kind of like, well, they're going to come with an answer, right? They're going to resolve this, right? Well, not in this movie, they don't resolve it. It's unresolved. It's like they took the idea of Empire Strikes Back and had it where, okay, we're going to give you an action-packed movie. You're going to get drama. You're going to get comedy. You're going to get love, math, and science. And then we're going to take you for a plot twist. And then we're going to bring some mystery upon you. And we're going to have you scratching your head going, what the hell is this? And then when you get to the end credits, you're trying to catch your breath because you're seeing so much in a movie that you're like, ah, damn. And then finally you get to the point where you see Samuel Jackson as Nick Fury. They're in the city. And out of nowhere, a helicopter crashes into a building. His partner, which is the girl, she disappears. He takes out a tracking device. He was going to attempt to push the button. Spoiler alert, it was to try to wake up Miss Marvel. Yes. And all of a sudden, he notices he's getting ready to erase. And you see Samuel Jackson say "mother," and then he gets erased. So, predictions for what could happen in Avengers 4. Well, we know it's going to have something to do with time travel. And I'm pretty sure they're going to take the X-Men approach to this. Because there's talks about Wolverine appearing in the next Avenger film. And they've already got some footage of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine just standing there in the city trying to make sense of all of this. You know, we already got concept pictures of, you know, Tony Stark makes his way back to Earth to explain to Steve what just happened, what just transpired. And the fact that they're going back in time, I'm pretty sure that's where Bruce Banner is going to be able to, it's going to be able to explain why we don't have the Hulk. Like, why is the transformation taken from us? And what is the purpose of Jim just being Bruce Banner? So I'm pretty sure that someone's going to pick up the device. And that's how Miss Marvel wakes up out of cryogenic sleep. And I'm pretty sure Bruce Banner is going to become Professor Hulk. Because it is hinted in the comic books. And I'm pretty sure Tony Stark is going to create some type of time portal to try to jumpstart time. Because that's probably what's going to happen in Avengers 4. and all the people that died will come back as if they had never died in the first place. So now, where do I rate this movie? I'm pretty sure I would give this movie a 9 out of 10. Simply because it's enjoyable, it's fun, it's entertaining. I probably would have to watch this movie 2 or 3 more times. Now, is it really the greatest film of all times? I'm pretty sure most of you will say yes. And there's a small minority group of people who might disagree with that, and that's okay. But I would probably say the first Avenger film is still number one. I would probably say Captain America Winter Soldier is number two. And then Captain America Civil War would probably be tied. And then I would probably say this would be just right after that film. So could we call this the greatest film of all times? We could say yes, but is it the number one greatest film of all time? I'm afraid the first Avenger film still holds number one of that title. So you've got my long Avengers Infinity War movie review. I know it was long, I know it was brutal, but we got through it. Peace.